Coming up today on Eagle Eyes on Tech, the UK launches a new law to block adult content, but it's not going to go well. We'll get into details why. The women-only dating app has gotten hacked. Nvidia's future is delayed. Ubisoft is going after Stop Killing Games. And, of course, the biggest news in the streaming space, the biggest talent-first VTuber agency, Vshojo, hides a dark secret. Also, it's dead. All that and more coming up today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, North Stream, good day. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. We're having technical difficulties here in the studio. Like, I cannot go online at all. I can record, I can upload, I can do YouTuber things, but for whatever reason, and I don't know why, and it's driving me knucking futs, we can't go live. And I suspect it's a Twitch thing. I don't know. I'm gonna have to work on it more after work today. We're actually recording this Monday. There's a good chance we're gonna miss our upload time, considering our upload time is in 2 hours. Actually, 2.5 hours, but I digress. So we're probably gonna miss our upload time. I'm probably gonna end up having to, I'm probably gonna have to do part of the recording now and then part of the recording after work, which is gonna make it even more awkward. So yeah, not great. Not great at all. You know what else isn't great? The UK. The UK is not doing great right now. The UK is finding out that going ahead and requiring all citizens that want to view on any website that could potentially, and this is the key thing, potentially have adult content requires some form of age verification, whether it is a facial scan or an actual scan of your government issue ID. And lo and behold, guess what everyone's finding out? This is terrible. This makes for a terrible experience online. This is an undue burden to people trying to go through, because it's nowhere near as easy as, say, an actual in-person shop where you just go ahead and just show your driver's license real quick, no big deal, whatever. And on top of that, it's, well, we'll get to that in a minute, about how this is just creates a massive problem in case there's ever a data breach, in case when there's a data breach. And people are finding that the potentially containing adult content is what's killing everything. And actually, a lot of websites don't want to become a hotspot for being targets of data breaches. So they're just straight up denying access to anyone in the UK. If you want to access many sites that could potentially have spicy content, you pretty much have to use a VPN, because half of them do have systems to go ahead and make sure that you're of age, and half of them really don't want to invest tens of thousands of dollars in that technology, or don't want to have a database of everyone's government ID where they can get hacked and then held liable and then be out millions of dollars, because that's no fun to anyone. I want to remind you that a judge was dumb enough to say that it's fine for this to just be allowed in the US. Like, that's wild to me. The fact that we have states approving this sort of thing and just and then going, yeah, no, there's no problem. There's no problem. It's the same thing as if you're on a an in-person store. Same thing. Yeah, no, this is awful. There's also, I saw some posts this morning that said that a bill similar to this is trying to be passed in the US. No, that thing can go die. That is a terrible, terrible idea. And quite frankly, it should be blatantly obvious, especially when you look at this. The T app has been hacked. What is the T app? The T app is a dating app exclusively for women, where they can go ahead and talk about potential guys who may or may not be red flags. And they have like a rating system on there to say like, oh yeah, I talked with so-and-so. Oh man, he's really weird. Also, it basically boils down to a women gossiping site where women can just gaslight any guy they want because there's no verification system at all to make sure that no one is just making up nonsense. Then the website got hacked. I mean app. The system got hacked. And the thing is that the app, guess what? You guessed it. Used government issued IDs to confirm that all of their users were in fact women. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little surprised that they got hacked and ruined first before any sort of controversy of someone transgendered trying to sign up for the service. I would have thought that would have came up first. Mostly just because I know how these sort of controversies end up going. The moment anything is gender specific, some gray area is going to ruin your concept. Not this time. Just getting straight up hacked is ruining your concept. All 12,000 government issued IDs that were stored have now leaked out. A wide map of all the users has been leaked out across the entire country. And there, in fact, may be more that is still being found in this leak. This is why you shouldn't store government IDs! Because that's it. Anyone who has access to this public, and I want to stress, public leaked data, all those people can extremely easily be victims of identity theft. Just like that. It's all over. No word yet from T what they intend on doing. This is still very fresh news. But yeah, no, they're done. They're done. And this should be a lesson as to why these kinds of protect the kids sort of laws should not be implemented. Because it makes every single website of this nature a hotbed for exactly this, that leads to thousands upon thousands of people now being victims of identity theft. By the by, there was a petition. I don't know what the status is of it now. Let me go quickly see if I can find it. There's a UK petition to get the law repealed. And yep, sure enough, they need 100,000 signatures to get this considered to Parliament for debate. It now has almost 350,000 signatures. 3 times what they need. Incredible. Just simply incredible. By the by, since I accidentally tabbed over to the next tab, Intel, shifting gears wildly, Intel has posted their second quarter financial results, and they're not good. They are not good at all. And as a result, they have in fact laid off more employees. Their goal, as stated, is to try and get their core workforce down to about 75,000 employees. I believe they are right now at I think 90,000? I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. So they're looking at a lot more cuts wise. They might actually be less than that now. I'm actually now less and less confident the more and more I think about it, about the 90K. I think that 90K was several layoff rounds ago. But yeah, they're looking to cut drastically. Intel's not looking good. I'll just say it right now. They're not looking good. They are struggling to advance their fabrication methods. They are struggling to come up with a processor that really is a big game changer. And, right now ARM is looking so good. It used to be that x86 was the powerhouse and ARM is was the up and coming performance per watt machine. ARM is getting steadily better and better. They're not quite there to the point of replacing x86, but God, x86 looks dead in the water. Intel just can't seem to get out of the mud. AMD is slowly advancing, but because they don't feel any pressure from Intel and they're too complacent right now, AMD really just feels in the desktop and x86 market like they're just going through the motions. Yep, here you go, another 16 core processor. Yep, here you go, another 96 core EPYC. etc., etc. Like, they know they're the top dog in the CPU area, and if Nvidia's CPU ever gets out, AMD is going to be hurting. AMD is going to be seriously hurting. And, you know, yeah, it's great and all that AMD is seeing a new Threadripper out. We have a new 9000 series Threadripper that's hitting high-end markets. But, you know, it's just a slightly updated 7000 series Threadripper. It's a little better, a little beefier, a little stronger. What happens when an ARM mega chip gets made and it gets even remotely close to the performance of a Threadripper at a third of the power? That's the concern. That's the reality that AMD and Intel are both facing. It is a serious concern. And we've been hearing rumors again and again and again about this new chip that Nvidia has been working on. They've been working on it with MediaTek for a long time. It's going to be their new foray into the CPU market. And, you know, for a company that already has, you know, infinity money, this is a major gamble. And if it actually pays off, holy smokes, no computer market is safe. None. They'll just all be doomed. Fortunately, though, for the entire landscape, Nvidia's new CPU has been delayed. This was blatantly obvious that it's been delayed when everyone expected it at Computex, and it wasn't at Computex. Reports are now saying that it's going to be delayed until 2026. When in 26? It's hard to say. Do I think it's going to matter a whole lot? Probably not. Like I said, Intel is stuck in the mud, and AMD really just seems to be keeping Ryzen in a holding pattern. Like, I don't want to say history keeps repeating itself, but holy smokes, where AMD is at right now looks so much like the Intel Core series. Intel had the breakout period getting out of the garbage architecture that was NetBurst, or the Pentium 4s if you don't know the code words. Then they got into Woodcrest, the few after that, which were known as the Core Solo, Core Duo, Core 2 Duos, Core 2 Quads, all those. And then eventually, codenamed Nehalem came out and gave birth to the first Core i7. And then once you had the Core i3, i5, i7s on the architectures afterwards, I don't remember those off the top of my head. That's it. They basically held in that holding pattern for a decade. For a decade. Intel just, yeah, okay, we updated it, whatever. It's 4% faster, whatever. I'm gonna go nap. No competition at all. AMD, I hate to say it, exactly the same way right now. Ryzen has not had a significant boost in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 generations now. The only reason I'm not sure on the number of generations is because AMD is numbering things like a drunk cow, and I can't follow anymore how many generations we've actually had. And quite frankly, you'd think, oh, hey, well, you were all in favor of AMD kicking Intel's butt when Intel was complacent. Why aren't you in favor of Nvidia kicking AMD's butt when AMD's being complacent? It's because, well, first off, when Nvidia's chip takes hold, it means that all legacy applications that are not ready for ARM are not going to work all that well with modern computers at all. The other thing is Nvidia is a $4 trillion company now, or whatever the heck they're actually up to now, that doesn't care about the consumer at freaking all. The only thing they care about is how much they can greedily charge you. And I want to stress that greatly for every single person going, well, Nvidia's doing great, then make it a CPU, that'd be even better, right? It's gonna be great for my computers. No, they are a company that is already on top of the world, is anti-consumer, goes out of its way to flex its money muscles on every competitor to stifle innovation. Nvidia is not the company you want in charge of anything. And I mean this seriously. You don't want Nvidia to be top dog on anything, because where they are top dog in right now is kept intentionally expensive so they can intentionally remain the most profitable company in the world. And I will smile when they are finally brought down a few pegs. Just saying. And that needs to happen like now. It really does. By the way, Sony is fighting climate change in a way that really won't fight climate change at all. The PS5 now has a new power saving option that will scale back performance and probably consume roughly 5 watts less. I actually really do want to know for real what the power savings are of the Sony power saving options. Because, like, real talk, like, all memeing and joking aside, all right, I want to pretend for a moment, okay, that you're in a situation where you have to conserve power. Like, for example, let's say that you're a trucker, all right, and your entire sleeping area relies on the truck batteries. When those batteries get low, you burn up more diesel. Burning up more diesel is more money. Like, power is at a premium in a situation like that. It's not like at home where I can go ahead and have 2 giant spotlights on, 3 monitors, a dual 12-core power inefficient mega tower, or anything like that. No one cares about that. In fact, at home, I guarantee you no one's going to turn on the power saving options unless they're in California, where the cost to keep your lights on is just absurd. Okay? If you're in like a camper, an RV, a van build with a PS5 or a truck build with a PS5, I could see this feature honestly legitimately being useful. But for 95% of PS5 users, they will never ever touch this power saving option. Also, I mean, you know, it's good that it's there. I'm not going to gripe on it too much, especially since, yeah, I could see some very good legitimate uses for it. Beyond that, no one's going to use it. No one's going to use it. Apple wants you to go ahead and really buy Apple Care. They have a new version called Apple Care 1, and it is specifically to go ahead and have one plan that covers multiple devices. Now, this is really intended for for families, or someone that is just 100% all in on the Apple ecosystem, which also means that there's no hope for you, or you have too much money. I don't know which. I truly honestly don't. Which would be worse? In any case, I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. The whole plan starts at $20 a month, and you can add it's $20 a month for up to 3 products, and you can add an additional one for $6 per month more, which actually means that the base price is not a great deal at all. You're actually paying $2 a month more than you should, because 3 times $5.99 is, you know, $18.97. Whoops. No, it's $17.97. I'm sorry. It's early. Spare me. So, I mean, yeah, if you're an Apple fanatic, you know, all good on you. I don't think it covers water damage, though. So I think you're kind of SOL in that regards. It does say you can add already owned devices to the plan. So if you're one of the 3 people out there that are in the Apple ecosystem and want to be on a budget and get used Apple devices, there you go. You can do that for some reason. We're actually going to take our first and probably only break here. When we come back, I want to talk about Ubisoft going up against Stop Killing Games. And then also the biggest news in the streaming space, Vshojo imploding at a record pace. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Welcome. Oh man, excuse me. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. Had a little bit of something in my throat there. Ooh. Any case, I'd re-record that, but we got no time. I've got to actually get to work like very soon. But in any case, Ubisoft has responded to the fact that Stop Killing Games is basically gunning down for their way of life. There really is no other way to phrase it in this way. But yeah, Ubisoft was confronted at a recent shareholders meeting about its stance on Stop Killing Games. Let's say, basically citing that let's actually start from the beginning, all right, rather than me just taking quotes directly from the article. All right, Stop Killing Games, for those who don't know, is a petition started in the EU, and I've actually incorrectly said a couple of times that that it was started by Ross Scott. Ross Scott has since come out and said that he's sorry that people got that impression, but no, he is not the creator of Stop Killing Games. He just strongly agrees with the statement and has been working his butt off with volunteered time to, you know, try to get the thing passed, because he has been a big advocate of preserving games. That's no secret at all. That's also now kind of biting the organization in the butt, because now some people are trying to claim that his volunteered time is undocumented monetary contribution, which sounds like BS on paper, but it actually might be correct. So we'll have to see what happens there. That might be a yikes. It might be a big yikes. But I digress. This is about what Ubisoft had to say. Now, what really sparked off the Stop Killing Games movement was Ubisoft's game, The Crew. The Crew was shut down because it wasn't doing as well as people wanted it to, as Ubisoft wanted it to. And that was pretty much it. It was then also deleted from the Ubisoft store, and the game automatically deleted itself from people's devices. This, of course, sparked the outrage, because Ubisoft believes that the moment a live service game is killed, it should erase itself from the face of the earth. And of course, there was no attempt to be made at all to keep the game running. Now, Ubisoft has had some interesting statements to be made on this. Now, the article says here that the Ubisoft CEO that I can't pronounce to save my life, was it Vshojo? We'll go with that until someone corrects me. I don't have a live chat now, unfortunately, because of the freaking problem I'm having here in the studio to go ahead and tell me, no, you're pronouncing it wrong. It's this other incorrect pronunciation or whatever. I really don't care, to be perfectly honest. I have no respect for the guy. He was confronted by, quote, an aggressive questionnaire. An aggressive questionnaire, for those who don't know, is code for someone who doesn't glaze. Just felt you'd want that translation. Now, the questioner asked questions in regards to what Ubisoft's games for game preservation moving forward are. They responded with, regarding a petition, we operate in a market, and whenever we release a game, we provide a lot of support for that game. We also provide a lot of support to make sure that game is accessible and remains playable 24/7. So we provide information regarding the game and how long the game can be played. Let me interject. No, you didn't. You provided news that The Crew was going to be shut down a week before it happened. Before then, people assumed they'd be getting a game that'd be playable 24/7. That was it. The statement then moves on to say that end players and buyers are forewarned that eventually the game may be discontinued. They then moved on and said that they'd be offering a sequel for just $1 across online markets and plans to make the game available offline in future. Quoting, so this is an issue that we've been dealing with, but this kind of issue is not specific to Ubisoft. All video game publishers are faced with that issue. You provide a service, but nothing is written in stone, and at some point the service may be discontinued. Nothing is eternal, and we are doing our best to make sure that things go well for all players and buyers, because obviously support for all games cannot last forever, but that's an issue we're working on, and that's something the industry at large is working on to minimize impacts on all players, but clearly that's something you need to factor in for. The lifespan of a piece of software, whenever there is a service component, eventually services may be discontinued, because eventually the software may become obsolete over time. A lot of tools become obsolete 10 or 15 years down the line. They're no longer available, and that is why we're releasing a new version. And so we have a version 2 and then 3, but clearly that's a far-reaching issue. We're working on it. Bull pie. That's all I gotta say to that. Because for him to say like, oh, games and obsolete become obsolete 10 or 15 years down the road. The crew had what? 3 weeks? A month? Man, it is a shame though. We never figured out any sort of way that once a service for a game is killed, that it is impossible to ever play it ever again. Man, it's such a shame that games that have a service component built into it can just never be played again once that service component is gone. If you don't know, if you can't tell, this is all sarcasm. I like to present to you to Command and Conquer General 0 Hour, a game that has a built-in online component, and lo and behold, all the offline features are still available to this day, despite the fact the game was made 23 years ago. The same thing as Red Alert 2, 27 years ago. Same thing with CNC 3, 19 years ago. Yeah, the live service, the online component, the online matchmaking is dead. Guess what? I can still fire it up. I still do from time to time fire it up, because I miss that day and age in the RTS genre. You say that it's something the industry at large is working on. The problem is, you lying sack of hot garbage, the industry at large figured this out decades ago. This is what Stop Killing Games is livid about. This is a solution that is new. And it's not because the internet is new. It is because it is manufactured by companies like Ubisoft that, rather than just saying, yeah, that game is dead, move on, want to make sure that I could not fire up an older version of their game and go like, man, they were so much better back in the day. They'd rather I go fire up the new one and go, man, I wish they did this, and this to it. They made it like the older ones, instead of firing up the older ones. They actually be held to the standards of yesterday's Ubisoft. So, your statement sucks. Your opinion sucks. And quite frankly, the claim that because of the service component, the game will be killed is stupid. And by the way, to the one defender of the games industry out there that isn't, in the games industry as a whole, looking at you, Pirate, why do things have to be this way? It's one thing when it's an MMO. I get that. It's one thing when it's a perpetually online game. However, here's my counterpoint. There are ways to play MMOs offline. They do exist. There are ways to make an MMO single player. It's already been done. Dragon Quest X already did it. Final Fantasy 14 is on their way to doing it. It's blatantly obvious they're on their way to do it, which also makes it hilarious that an idiot like Pirate Software tried to use Final Fantasy 14 as an example of a reason why Stop Killing Games is bad. So to try and go ahead and try to gaslight us, the consumer, into thinking that, because a game is live service, it can never ever be played offline, is bull. Because there's always been a way to play games offline. You just choose to not incorporate that into your game, to take away that kind of value from the game, all for the sole purpose of trying to turn your $60 or I guess now $80 game into an $8,000 game. So I'm sorry, your statement sucks and you need to suck less. And if that questioner was actually as aggressive as the article says, they would have kept asking questions. All right, let's get to the story of the week, shall we? Vshojo. Let me give you a basic timeline, all right? And the timeline's gonna be kind of vague because I don't have a massive list of exactly who left when. But a couple months ago, we started seeing some Vshojo members slowly leave one by one. All right. For those who don't know, let's actually I keep doing this. Let's start at the beginning. All right. Let's start at the very beginning. Vshojo is a VTuber talent agency. There's basically three big ones out there. There's Niji Sanji. We've talked about them in the past. HoloLive and Vshojo. Niji Sanji and Vshojo recruit talent and then create the VTuber for them and basically own the IP and everything of the VTuber. All right. They basically go ahead and train someone from the ground up to be a VTuber. Vshojo hunts down indie already established VTubers and then signs them on and fulfills and works out their portfolio that way. Okay. So Vshojo already runs differently than every other VTuber agency out there. And honestly, their way of doing it is far better because it means when talent leaves, they keep their identity. Because if you leave, say, HoloLive, like Gargura did, HoloLive owns the intellectual property of Gargura. So now Gargura can never, ever launch as an independent VTuber. They would have to go ahead, start from the ground up with no one ever knowing who they were in the past from point zero under a new identity and then build up very, very slowly. So it's always a very bad idea to leave these sort of agencies because they basically made you, and there's no way to ever build back up from nothing to what you once had. If you can't detect the sarcasm, there's sarcasm. Gargura left, started up a new channel called Same Sosaba, and is now a extremely popular independent VTuber with a much better looking model. I'm sorry, I'll say it. The rigging on Gargura's model was terrible. The rigging on like most HoloLive models that I've seen are terrible. I know some people find a charm in that rigging. I'm sorry. I'm a tech guy. I gotta look at the obvious flaws and go, man, that sucks. I can do better with a base model from 2D Live and a crappy webcam. That's how bad your rigging is. Now she has her own model and it looks fantastic, and she's very successful and very happy. So there you go. Also, all these agencies usually have a lot of control over what the talent can and can't say. Vshojo is no exception. So when you know that there's usually some kind of like, you're very restricted on what you can say, you're under a lot of NDAs, and there's usually very harsh splits in revenue between the talent and the agency, it's not surprising at all that people want to leave an agency. All right. So when you get word that some fairly well-known talent wants to leave Vshojo, you don't think twice about it. That's kind of what I first thought when Nanners first left Vshojo. She left with someone else. I can't remember who, but you know, it's just like, oh, okay, well, they just wanted to they just wanted to go do their own thing. That's fine. They're big enough names. They'll be fine. You know, it's whatever. Then another name left Vshojo, and then another, and then another. And, you know, again, I don't think too much about it because it's just like, oh, well, must be a bad manager inside Vshojo that people didn't get along with. Oh, well, hope they do well. Then Zentreya leaves. Zentreya is a very large VTuber, very, very large. One of like I would argue either the second or third biggest name in Vshojo's roster. Like, she's big. She leaves Vshojo. Now it goes from, well, I hope the best for them, to, hey, what's going on in Vshojo? Then, you know how I said Zentreya is arguably the second or third biggest? Then, inarguably, the biggest VTuber in Vshojo's roster leaves. And she is unarguably the biggest talent in Vshojo's talent arsenal because she is the biggest VTuber bar none. Iron Mouse leaves Vshojo. and Iron Mouse leaves with tears in her eyes, throwing a Molotov cocktail behind her by revealing that Vshojo owes her a substantial amount of money and that Vshojo was supposed to have paid out $500,000 to the Immune Deficiency Foundation for a charity she ran 1 year ago. Boom. Suddenly, everything makes sense. Vshojo committed charity fraud. They are so desperate for funds, they committed charity fraud. That is massive. That is a massive and bad look. There's no other way around it. A terrible look. And it's going to get them in a lot of trouble. Then one by one, pretty much all in one day, virtually every single person who was talent for Vshojo left. One talent who might be either number 2 or number 3. I don't know where they stand. I'd have to go compare. By the name of Keisan, interviewed the supposed Japanese CEO of Vshojo. I say supposed only because their corporate structure is so confusing that they say they have a Japanese branch. I can't find any documentation that officially states they have a Japanese branch. I think they just have a division that works over there, which means that they wouldn't have a CEO. But I digress. And basically the interview goes, "Where's my money?" And they go back and forth a bit. And it ends with, "Pay me my money now. I can't. I quit." Again, everything involving Vshojo is obvious. They have been running a deficit. They have been mismanaging themselves to an extreme degree and have been unable to pay their employees. Finally, the actual CEO, Gunrun, puts out a statement. "Vshojo has failed. I've mismanaged the company into the situation you're all witnessing. So today I'm sharing the difficult news that Vshojo is shutting down, and I take full responsibility for the decisions that led us to this point. I have been doing everything I can to fundraise and right the ship past these past few months, but despite my efforts, we are in a worse position, and those I care about are now paying the price. Over the past few years, we raised around 11 million to pursue a bold talent-first VTubing, prioritizing creator approach in VTubing, prioritizing creators and communities over whatever." I already read this thing. I actually don't care because it's a whole bunch of hogwash, because they go ahead and try to say that, in fact, that this is all the CEO's fault. It's not. Every other officer does, in fact, hold some responsibility in this. None of them are safe. Don't even think for a moment that only Gunrun is in danger. Gunrun is definitely in danger, though, because he did admit to committing charity fraud in this. He also did try to say that he later found out after spending the money on operating costs, the $500,000 on operating costs, that was for a charitable initiative. That's BS, because officers and management within the company did, in fact, retweet and acknowledge the massive amount of funds that Iron Mouse raised for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. Oops. Now, the biggest question I have to ask: how did you mess this up? You had some of the biggest names in VTubing, and you were taking a 10 to 15% cut of their revenue, because that's usually industry standard for this sort of thing, and you couldn't keep the agency afloat? Oh, I'm sorry, did I say 10 to 15%? Oh no, that's a reasonable amount. No, contracts that are leaking out now say that the split was close, then instead of the split being 85-15, the split was closer to 50-50, or, and this is my favorite one, 40-60. Yes, 40% to the creator, 60% to the agency. Shy Lily, who was also attempted to be recruited by Vshojo, said that they even wanted a cut of advertising deals that she herself did with a different agency, as well as a cut of sales from a company that she's with called Gamersups. Despite the fact that Vshojo would have nothing to do with those companies, it would just be free revenue. Like, these contracts were predatory AF, which then once again goes back to the key point. How did you mess this up? Because your only cost, as far as I can tell, is social media managers, promotions, I'd say maybe set up for concerts, but like, I don't know if you ever did any. What on earth did you idiots spend the money on? Like, it is staggering. Like, let's just run some numbers real quick, okay? Before on Twitch, we're not going to count recent stuff, all right? Let's just look at just Iron Mouse, okay? Prior to the massive explosion she had after leaving Vshojo, she sat around 10,000, okay? Let's assume, even though it's incorrect, let's assume a 50-50 split between Twitch and Iron Mouse. You're talking 25 grand every month in just subs. So your revenue right here alone is about 13,000 from Iron Mouse subs alone every month. You compare that, you add that along with, you know, some of your other talent, like say Zentrea, who actually was sitting at much higher. I actually forgot when she quit. Let's say, actually, do we have there we go. Let's just say it's 5,000. So you're talking like another 8,000 there. And keep in mind, this is just subs. There's also the merchandise that they also get. There is also any sort of YouTube revenue. This is not including bits. This is not including any direct donations. This is not including any other kind of events. Your incoming revenue every month should be minimum 100,000 every month. And your operating cost is literally just staff salaries. So in reality, actually, if I'm correct, that is only 100,000. Was their model just never sustainable in the first place? See, and this is why I'm very eager to see what their books say. I'm very, very curious. Where did the money go? That is me a very, very good question. I'm very curious how close I am to their income. Was the case that they just underestimated the amount of money coming in a 50% cut from their content creators? Or did they just overspend on themselves? We may never know. All we know is that Vshojo is no more. They'll be going into Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I have to assume at this point, every single talent at Vshojo is owed money. And I have to assume it is a substantial amount of money. One creator said that they were owed a Ferrari's worth of money, which would translate to around minimum 600K, I think. Oh yeah, speaking of, one of the things I saw in one of the contracts was that their payout rate was, or their expected pay time was net 120, meaning 120 days after the payout period ended. Here's a pro tip. Anything above net 30 is a red flag. I've heard some people say that net 60 is fine. I disagree. As someone who runs a business, net 60 for someone to pay you, it tells me that, ooh, something's wrong over there. Something is seriously wrong. So, yeah. Vshojo completely gone. By the way, the gun run emote on Twitch is also gone. Not that you knew there was a gun run emote. I guarantee you, you would not even know what the gun run emote on Twitch would look like unless I showed it to you. Yeah, it's the really angular guy with the triangle smirk. You've probably passed by it a couple of times when going through the page of emotes and go, huh, which one do I want to use? Or what was the name of that one emote? No one ever used it. It's now gone off Twitch. You can't use it anymore. Poof, gone, the end. It just is what it is. So Vshojo, dead. Gone forever. And now finally we're going to get to the last story of the day, the weirdest story of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, AI is now performing operations on pigs. You heard me. An AI-powered robot has successfully performed a surgical operation on a pig. It was all to perform a gallbladder removal surgery. And granted, the only reason it was on a pig was because they weren't going to do it on a human. Let's be perfectly honest. The thing is that it succeeded. It was, in fact, a successful surgery. TM. I'm pretty sure the pig was dead, actually. They mainly just wanted to see, can the AI-powered robots perform the surgery without assistance? And unfortunately, for all the surgeons out there, the answer was yes. Yes, it did. So now, I'm sorry, doctors. You thought all the blue-collar workers were going to have their jobs replaced by machines. It turns out you and your fancy medical degree, you're in danger too. Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? Yep, AI is out for the medical field jobs as well. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening. I do check out my other works at twitch.tv/EagleFalcon and youtube.com/EagleFalcon. Take care. I hope you have a good day. I got to start prepping for the rest of the day because, man, this has been a busy morning. Bye-bye. All right, so how many years do we give it until the AI surgery robots start to override their own coding and begin turning humans into cyborgs to start, the robot revolution? I know it seems like every time there's an AI or robot-driven story in the last burb, I have to bounce back with the same joke of when's the robot revolution, but holy smokes. If this doesn't, it plays out just like some kind of Hollywood movie, which also makes me disappointed that we don't get better movies out of Hollywood as of late.